Good morning. You're in the loop. Every week we talk with the people who make San Antonio a better place to live. Thanks for joining us in the loop. Here's your host, Milton Glick.
And welcome to In the Loop. I'm Milton Glick, and that's exactly what we do. We get you caught up with the people and the organizations that are making San Antonio a better place to live. Now, I've got a new person that we never talked to on the show today. We're going to talk to Dr. Minka Misangyi. She is the Executive Director of Girls on the Run. We're going to talk to you and introduce you to that organization, and we'll also do what we always do, which is tell you how you can be involved. Dr. Misangyi, how are you today?
Hi there. I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing okay. You sound a little distant all of a sudden.
Oh, really?
There, better, much better. Nope.
Is that better?
Much better. Thank you. Okay.
Sure.
We'll play it by ear. It's technology. You and I were talking about it before we started. So, okay. Well, listen, we're going to make this Girls on the Run 101. So educate our listeners about your organization. And I always start this way, so I'll kind of start this way with you too. And that is, tell me the history and the mission of Girls on the Run.
Sure. And so we're called technically Girls on the Run of Bexar County.
Okay.
Girls on the Run is a national organization that started in North Carolina in 1996. So it's been around for a number of years. Girls on the Run Bexar County started here in San Antonio in 2010. And so I'm one of the co-founders of the organization here. And the beautiful thing about it is that as people travel or move from state to state, if they get involved in Girls on the Run, they have the same kind of experience. And that experience is we are an after-school program for young girls. We serve girls in 3rd through 8th grade through a program that teaches life skills like how to build confidence, how to stand up for yourself and others, how to manage emotions, how to make friends, with running and other physical activity as the vehicle to help learn those life lessons. And so we, our program takes place mostly at schools, and though we do have programming in some community sites like some churches and some YMCAs and other community organizations, and volunteers actually facilitate our curriculum. And so the curriculum happens twice a year. It coincides with fall semester and spring semester in school, and the 10-week program goes 10 weeks. It's twice a week for 90 minutes, and the kids are learning through their confidence-building skills. One of the things, the goals they're working toward is running or walking a 5K at the end of the 10 weeks. And so they get together and they go through the curriculum, they go through the life skills and life lessons. It builds their character, it helps them build a sense of contribution, and then at the end they all get together and they run or walk a 5K that's open to the community.
Yeah, in fact, it just happened. Is that right? Is that the same thing?
It did. We just had our spring 5K this past weekend. It was on May 10th, and it was at Comanche Park. This spring, we served 455 girls in Bexar, Kendall, and Comal County. So we're called Girls on the Run of Bexar County, but we actually serve all the counties that touch Bexar County, and then Hays County, which is just above Comal County. And so we served 455 girls this spring, and there were about 1,500 people total at our event. We are volunteer-driven, and we were really lucky this race day to have about 250 volunteers come out just to help us out on race day alone.
Wow, that's great. Talk a little bit, if you will, about the challenges that face girls. So being a guy, I don't know. So talk a little bit about why focus on girls. What are they going through at these ages?
Yeah, so girls do have some special kind of specific, unique challenges that they face as they're growing into adolescence. And so there's a real benefit in having girls serve in a program on their own, where they end up feeling a sense of belonging and they're able to talk about things a little bit easier than if it's in a mixed crowd. One of the things, there's a lot of things that we know from the past few years in studies about girls and boys, but their confidence levels, some of the mental health crises that actually we've been having in the past few years, and about their sense of connection. And so one of the things that we know is that girls' confidence really begins to decline right about fifth grade. And so as they age, they get more conscious of themselves as social beings and their own bodies. And so often we found, for instance, that since 2017, confidence rates have declined from 68% to 55% in girls, which is a big decline, and that fifth graders, it seems to hit them the most over the past few years. And so that's one of the reasons we start working with girls so young in third grade before their confidence starts to drop, so that we can give them the tools to help understand that they're great just the way they are, and they can help build each other up. And so really inspiring confidence, that's the foundation of what we do at Girls on the Run. And so we can help get those, 88% of girls say they're under peer pressure to look a certain way. And so if we can help them be comfortable with who they are, where they are, then they're more confident in the classroom. They're more confident in other areas of life as well. We know that nearly 3 in 5 U.S. teen girls feel persistently sad or hopeless. That's a study that came out by the Surgeon General in 2023. And we know that nearly 1 in 3 girls have seriously considered attempting suicide in the past few years. And so if Girls on the Run if programs like Girls on the Run can bring girls together and have an outlet for them to talk with each other and to learn what it's like to have safe and confident or safe adults to talk to, that helps them as well. And we know that girls learn better when they feel a sense of connection in the community they're in. And so the lessons that we have in Girls on the Run really are designed to help girls feel that sense of connection. And so we're hopeful that, we're more than hopeful, we know from studies we've done ourselves on our curriculum and our program over the years and then nationwide, that girls really do build their confidence, improve mental health, feel a sense of connection when they go through programs like ours and others.
It's interesting. First off, I'm going to tell people you're listening to In the Loop. I'm Milton Glick. Our guest, Dr. Minka Misangyi, and if I mispronounced your name, please tell me, with Girls on the Run, Bexar County, and we're talking to her about the program. It's interesting that you said that the percentage is increasing in how many years? Since when?
Oh, it's been over the past couple of decades,
okay.
But it's getting increasingly worse over really since the pandemic. 2017 is a key year, but over the past few years, it seems to be getting more prevalent, this sense of hopelessness in kids.
What do you think is contributing to that?
There's a lot of conjectures and a lot of studies being done on that as well. Some of it may have to do with the prevalence of social media, and that seems to be when people began to feel less connected and to each other and more connected to their phones. So that may be part of it. The pandemic certainly didn't help with feelings of connectedness when everybody got sent home from school, and we see a lot of the fallout from that lack of connection that a lot of kids and adults had, but it's really affecting kids as well. So there's a few different reasons why people think that is happening, but it's probably tied to social media and then some of the after effects of the pandemic.
If folks want, we're going to keep talking, but if folks want more information on Girls on the Run, Bexar County, where do they go? What's the best place to go?
A website, which is actually GOTR for Girls on the Run, GOTRSanAntonio.org. That's our website, and there's connections to our social media on there. We have a Facebook page at GOTRBC, Instagram at GOTRBC as well.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about now the programs that you do. You mentioned the 5K run at the end. What does it begin with? What kind of programs do you find most successful?
So we have we have two programs that we run into the 5K. So no pun intended that we run.
Nice.
So we serve 3rd through 5th graders through one curriculum that is called Girls on the Run. And then we have another curriculum called Heart and Soul, SOLE, that serves 6th through 8th graders. Most of the kids that we serve are the Girls on the Run age, so 3rd through 5th grade, with the average age being 10. So that curriculum looks like some of the things the kids do in it. They learn, lessons about how to stand up for themselves and others, how to stand up to bullies, but they also do a community impact project. So one of the cool things that we see them doing is, as a team, figuring out who their community is right there at school. What does that look like? How do they define their community? And that what can they do as individual kids and as a team to make the community they live in better? So they get to pick what that project looks like and do that project. And then, they all get together for the 5K. And so it's like the curriculum, the lessons build on each other, so they're building momentum until they get to go from self to team to community to giant 5K community. So that's the where we serve the most kids is 3rd through 5th grade.
Yeah, it occurs to me as I'm talking about this, two things. One, talk about what parents tell you about their girl participating in the program. Do they mention they see a change? What do they tell you happens?
They do. At the end of every season, we do a survey. So we have, the quantitative data that tells us, like parents will tell us, and through the survey, that 97% say that they see their girls' confidence improve. 85% say that they see their kids learning how to care better. And so what does that look like in the community? So they do see those kinds of improvements in their kids. So we have them tell us, some stories about their kids. I mean, one of the funny stories, so we ask our coaches to get healthy snacks for the beginning of every lesson when they start together. It's after school. They're probably hungry. So we want them to have fresh fruits and fresh vegetables. And the coaches will go try a variety of things. Sometimes, they'll bring in broccoli, believe it or not, and some kind of dip, or apples. And there was one season that it was fall, and the coaches brought to the team like gold apples one week and then red apples another week. And some of the kids were saying, I didn't even know there were so many kinds of apples. Wow. And so that became their project. They went through the whole variety of apples that they could find and brought something different in every season. Then at the end of the season, some of the parents said, what did you do to our kids? We used to try to get them to eat fruit all the time before, and they never wanted to. And now they're coming home and saying, Mom, why don't we have any apples in the house? So, stories like that are really nice. And then we hear stories of belonging. There's one girl, there's actually been several girls who will take the program more than once. And so the program's offered twice a year, but they can come back. And they can come back in 3rd grade and 4th grade and 5th grade. And we do have kids that will take the program all the way through their elementary years and then into middle school. And we had one family where the girl struggled with some developmental disabilities, and so she was homeschooled, and her mom brought her to different teams. And so she would follow pretty much Girls on the Run from team to team, and she struggled to make friends and struggled to keep friends. And now she's in high school, and she still tells her mom that Girls on the Run was the place where she felt like she belonged the most and made a group of friends and people that she could feel comfortable with. And so, we love hearing stories like that of belonging, where kids really just find a place where they can find a friend, and that's such a great thing.
We're talking to Dr. Minka Misangyi. She is the Executive Director of Girls on the Run, Bexar County. We're talking about the organization. If it's okay, I'll give the website that people can go to. It's GOTR, Girls on the Run, sanantonio.org, and you'll find all the information that Dr. Misangyi is talking about right now. And I always like to do this, so humor me if you will. First off, how clever are children at hiding the pain that they're in from their parents?
Pretty clever. They're pretty smart. One of the things that, I see every time I go visit a team is, just how amazingly smart these kids are anyway. And they'll tell, one of the things about running, one of the things about doing physical activity, whether you're an adult or a child, is that, when you're side by side with somebody, shoulder by shoulder to shoulder, walking or running, that's when you're at your most vulnerable, really, because you're out there sweating together and doing something hard together. And so people open up more. And one of the reasons that running is so great is because you were there together doing something hard together, and you become closer to the people that are part of your group. And so we find as the kids get to know their coaches more throughout the season, they do end up opening up about some of the things that they have going on in their lives or some of the things that they're feeling. And we'll ask them, so what does your, caregiver or your parents say about that? And often, they say that person doesn't know. Like they're definitely hiding some of their feelings from the adults in their lives.
Now, so this is the part that I was talking about too, which is, so talk a little bit, if you will. Are there signs that parents might see that might lead them to believe, my child is being bullied, my child is having confidence issues, my girl is having these confidence issues, and so if they're listening to the show, if they might go, oh, you know what? Yeah, this now it makes sense, and we need to get into the program.
Some of the signs might be changing the way the girl dresses when she comes to school. And for example, I was just at one of our sites this season running with this little third grader, cutest little kid. We're running together, and she just starts talking out of the blue about how she stopped wearing shorts to school, and she stopped wearing, like she would wear skirts because the boys teased her, and then they made fun of her and tried to lift up her dresses. And so she felt like she had to change everything about the way she looked because of the way she was being treated in school. And so if there's a sudden change in how your child looks, that could be a sign of something happening at school. And so really simply to ask. And one of the things that we try to do, too, is send home questions for parents to ask that tie to the curriculum. So if the lesson, and so that parents know, like, here's what your child is learning in Girls on the Run. And so if a lesson is about how to stand up for yourself, we'll send home questions that say, ask your daughter like these things, and then they can get involved in the conversation as well. And their children might open up to them more too. So yeah, if you notice a change in behavior, a change in the way that somebody's dressing or looking, that could be a sign that something like that is happening, that there might be bullying happening, or something happened that made their girl feel out of place or awkward or something.
You sent some questions, which is great. And one that I think is very interesting was talking about, as we talked about the history, what are some of the challenges that you've faced in implementing these programs?
Well, some of the challenges are we want to meet the kids where they are, because those after-school hours are tough. I mean, parents are working. What do you do? What do the kids do after school? And so for us to be at school and meet the kids physically, literally where they are, takes a lot of collaboration, a lot of partnerships with schools and school districts and with teachers and with community partners. And so some of the challenges can be access to the schools themselves. We are volunteer-driven, and so being able to find volunteers to facilitate a program in the after-school hours from 3 to 5 can be challenging as well. So access for us can be an issue. And then if we have teams, like during COVID, we had to figure out, how do you have a running program that's supposed to be at school when schools are closed and when people can't get together to run? So we found a way. We figured out how to do some things virtually and then have the kids go do some things, some of the physical activities where they were. But we also started park teams. So then it was really easy to have kids go where, it was easier, I guess I should say, to have kids come to us. But transportation is an issue when parents work and when kids can't get to where the program is. So accessibility to schools and to volunteers are some of the biggest challenges that we face.
Well, that gives me a nice segue. First off, I'll tell folks we're listening to Dr. Minka Misangyi. She is the Executive Director of Girls on the Run, Bexar County, and this is a fascinating introduction to this organization. So you helped me with a segue, which is, how can our listeners, how can the community get involved and help you with this mission?
Yeah, that's a great question, and there's several ways to get involved. One is simply to volunteer. We are volunteer-driven. This year we've served 1,030 kids around the area, and that starts with 3 staff members. Everybody else who works with the kids, they're volunteers. So there's different ways to volunteer. As a coach, which is the biggest time commitment, that's about 50 hours over a 10-week period. Coaches are trained, we train, we support, we do everything we can to make life easy for that volunteer. So that is one way to volunteer, is by coaching. There are other ways to volunteer. We just finished our 5K. Our office looks like a 5K avalanche happened in here. There's materials everywhere. So, there's like one-day opportunities to volunteer to help us sort through materials and to help us be ambassadors into the community. So volunteering is a great way to get involved. Follow us on social media and help us spread the word about our program and what we do and what some of our events are. We don't have a ton of events. We have 2 5Ks a year, but we also try to get out into the community and meet people where they are as well. So helping us spread the word about who we are and what we do is super helpful. And then if there's a school or a community site where you think Girls on the Run might benefit the kids in the area, connect us to that location, and we're happy to come talk to anybody anytime about the program.
Yeah, so if you're listening and your business, your church, your group, if this touches you or kind of hits your heart, then yeah, this would be a great, just to go to the website, get the phone number. It's GOTR, Girls on the Run, GOTR San Antonio.org, and you can learn more about it. Hey, I thought of a weird question. You've mentioned the schools. If some of our listeners have homeschool kids, can they participate? And how do they do that if they can?
That's a great question, and there's a few ways that they can participate. I mean, it's always been a dream of ours to have a homeschool team. If there's enough kids who are homeschooled, we can find a location that's suitable for the program and have a whole homeschool team. But also, we ask the school, so when we have a program at a school, we ask the principal, how do you feel about kids from outside of the school coming to your team? And many schools will say, great, have them come in. As long as they can get here by the time the program starts, they can come. So we do have kids from outside of a school location participate with the schools. And then we also do try to have park teams in various locations around the city, or, at a YMCA, a Boys and Girls Club, where everybody in the community is welcome to come.
Is there a number they can call? If we've mentioned the website, is there a number folks can call too?
There is. Our number is 210-901-0167.
All right, 210-901-0167. We still have plenty of time, but I want to make sure, have I missed anything that you want to talk about? Because I want to hear a success story after this.
Wow, I think we did cover a lot about the program and what we do and how we do it. So, no, I think you've asked some good questions,
okay.
And we've got it.
Do you have a favorite story that you mentioned, the one girl, and how now she's in high school and talks about that this is being in Girls on the Run was one of her favorite times, and actually I guess it sounded like too, one of the more confident times in her world. Is there another story that you have that you'd like to talk about?
There is. And so we started programming here in the greater San Antonio area in 2011. And so a lot of the kids who were in programming then are adults now. And in 2019, I got a phone call from somebody asking, hey, I want to be a coach. Can a coach be 18? Do you have to be 18 when you apply, or can you be 18 when you started? And so this person, said, yep, I'm going to be 18 when programming starts. And I was trying to figure out who is this kid really who's calling to become a coach. Well, as it turns out, Christina was her name. So Christina was one of our first participants at one of our first schools. And now, fast forward, she's 18 years old, and she has a sister who's in 5th grade. She remembered Girls on the Run all of these years, and it made such a big impact on her that she wanted to come back and coach and start actually a whole program at her sister's elementary school so that she could give her sister the same thing and same great experience that she had. And I thought, this is amazing. And so we weren't able to get the program started at her sister's school that season because it was too soon. It was a couple weeks out, and it would have been a new site for us, and we want to make sure that we ask all the right questions and get things right when we start a site. So she ended up joining a different school, where she would pick her sister up after school, this 5th grader, bring her all the way across town to another school, and she got to coach her sister, and she met an entire new community. And I just thought that is so amazing that this kid who remembered Girls on the Run all these years now wants to give it as a gift to her own sister.
Yeah, clearly it meant enough to her to want to pass it on. That's wonderful. Well, Dr. Misangyi, we have run out of time. If you will, give the contact information again, because I want folks to call you that are homeschooling too, and because I heard in your voice this is a goal that you have for the near future.
It is a goal, and our phone number is 210-901-0167, and our website, gotrsanantonio.org.
If you didn't get that, I'm Milton Glick. You call me here at the station. I'll be happy to get you that information. We're going to say goodbye for today. Thank you to Dr. Misangyi. She is, again, the Executive Director, Girls on the Run, Bexar County. We'll be back next week when we keep you in the loop.
Thanks for joining us in the loop. We look forward to bringing you next week's show with Milton Glick.